All right, welcome back. Alicia Quinn here, and today is January 27th, 2025, and this is the date that I was born into this body and on this life journey. It's been quite the journey for me, and things are changing, things are getting better, and I am here to share my story of last year and inspire people, whoever that may be, for their life and their journey, and sharing my learning lessons, my spiritual growth, and all that. I have decided this year to no longer celebrate holidays, the pagan holidays. And really, birthdays, they're just kind of like in on that. They just like have you loop that, oh, you're getting older, you're getting older. I decided that I am doing 35 over again. There's a reason for that. I'll share that at a later time. So I decided I'm just doing 35, probably a couple more years. I might be able to get away with it. Maybe. But I'm definitely young at heart. But you know what? My soul is a lot older than even what my age is. So it doesn't matter. It's just a number. And so I am fearless and I am free of my past. That's right. Because my past does not define me. I am not who I was or once was or used to be. I am a whole new person. I have been reinventing and recreating myself. And I've done that a couple of times on this life journey in this life body. And so I am going to talk about where I was last year on this date because I'm sharing my journey from last year. So we are going to talk about where things were with Ronald, my 23-year-old online fiance thing from Nigeria. It was interesting. Lots of learning lessons in that. And my mom as well. So you can look at my previous videos. I proposed to Ronald on January 1st last year. And then on January 14th, I sat down and had this talk with my mother where she flipped out when I told her I had this guy coming from Nigeria and I was going to marry him. And, there's a whole story of the message, the guy friend, the mystery man, the podcaster, the guy at Wendy's, and Alex that all prepared me for this relationship with Ronald, where there were just so many signs. Some of those signs were, let's see, we are going back for what those signs were. Because one of the signs were that he had a beard, and the podcaster, he had a beard. I did this whole healing thing. And one of the things was the conspiracies. Ronald believed in the Flat Earth conspiracy and a few other conspiracies as well. He had a different story, which that was from the guy from Wendy's. And, he said that I was worth crossing oceans for, and that was my third affirmation that I had grabbed and said that I was. And he also said that he was the one who said he would be this man for my son. I did not ask him. And so, it was a lot of, coincidences that I felt he was a needle in a haystack. And as January went on, there were even more things that even came up with Ronald. And so, but one of the things that happened after I had proposed to Ronald and things was, I started in January working on the paperwork for the immigration thing, because he had thought that it would be, he was the one who had asked me about the marriage visa. That happened in December. I'll be releasing that story later on this year in a couple of months. And he had he had brought up the marriage visa thing, but that it would be best for me to apply for it and things like that. So, I was like, sure, so I started working on this marriage visa thing and the paperwork for that. And one thing kind of popped up on that process that was kind of interesting for me, which was his mother's birthday, because I had to get this information from him. But his mother's birthday was 50 years before me leaving my former husband, Robert, on that date, which was I left him 12/12/21, but this young man's mother's birthday was 12/12/71. And so as January rolled along after I proposed to Ronald and things, and the lead up to even talking to my mother, Ronald started kind of backing off a little bit. Evening messages that I, had gotten before this kind of came to being eliminated. And so, it was I think it was like an 8-hour time difference or something 7 hours, something like that. And so he would, he was up early at first, like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm up like 10, 11 o'clock. And so it kind of worked. And so all of a sudden, I didn't, started not getting these evening messages from him. And then, and he was doing the schooling thing for computer programming and coding and things. So he was doing the schooling thing. He was supposed to be teaching classes even there, so he, was kind of saying he was getting more busier because of, this kind of thing. And so all of a sudden, there's no messages. Like Friday mornings seem to be like it happened over and over in January, starting in January, after this proposal and stuff, that all of a sudden no message from him Friday morning. I mean, he's had all day, to send me a message. I always made sure that he had messages in the morning. And it really kind of caused me to go into this emotional thing that I went through a few times, and so I really started working on myself with that. And even like, we talked about it even, but then he would do it again, kind of thing. And he just became less and less available to me to, talk back and forth through messaging like we had been doing in November and December. So there's definitely this little switch up. And then, I came to one point where when I was trying to talk to him, that I really got this feeling that he was talking to someone else. I even said something about it, and he just kind of denied it really, and goes along with this thing, that, like it was me, right? It was just me. So it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just me, and I need to work on Alicia. And so I was really, really working on me and trying to be secure after all the lying BS that I found out about my former husband that had traumatized me, to having, trying to have a healthy, secure relationship. And, and we continued these weekly calls that we had started doing, which was my Saturday mornings, his Saturday evenings. And so those continued, but they started in January to also include the phone sex. And so then during January, I got a message from the guy at Wendy's girlfriend. Now, I seen the guy at Wendy's, like around Christmas break, the holiday time. I had seen him, and one of the last times I had seen him, he had asked me, "Where's your crew?" My kids, and I said, well, one was sitting in the car and one was at a friend's house. And so him and I really, that was the last time I had seen him. So all of a sudden I don't see him over there, and I'm like, he's disappeared again. and so all of a sudden I get a message from the girlfriend, and it said that it was a warning message to get tested for STDs if I had screwed them. I was like, oh my God, thank God. Thank God I didn't do that. I did know that I was much better than that. And then she also informed me that he was a man whore, had a raging pornography addiction, and had a raging meth addiction. Oh, thank double God. And so, there were a few things I had wondered when I walked away from my little sit-down talk with him, and that explained a lot. It's quite interesting because I just always seem to find out these things. And so, anyhow, so I got this message, and I even shared it with Ronald. Like, I didn't want to be dealing with some guy like this, right? And he was even like, oh, yeah, you don't have to worry about, dealing with a guy like that and all this, right? And so that happened, and then as I was reflecting back to the year before, in January of 2023, and it came upon me that, see, my former husband Robert had died in January of 2023, and there was this hold that was put on him being cremated. But then I got a phone call that he had accidentally been cremated. And they even told me the guy's name. And the guy's name was Ronald Quinton. No joke. And I'm looking back at this. I didn't know exactly what this meant. But, this was really where I was like, with Ronald, like, this is just another coincidence thing. And I was really like, this is just mathematically impossible that I am not supposed to be with him, or maybe deal with him. I don't know. I wasn't quite sure what was going on. I'm really looking at this thing and I'm like, this is just mathematically impossible that I am not, pretty much I was right where I was meant to be. And ironically, the guy at Wendy's, his name was Quentin. Go figure. Anyhow, then I received a message heading up towards my birthday from my mother after I had sent her a message saying that I could not have anyone in my life who didn't support my decisions, but had said for the sake of my children, if we could have a reasonable relationship for them, and that I would accept that. And so she messaged me about having lunch on my birthday. And so we met to have Mexican food for lunch and sit down and talk. And while we sat down and talked and stuff, we came up with some agreements. One being no politics, which she said she thought we were already in this no politics talking thing anyways, which we kind of were. And so no politics pretty much, no thoughts of ideas or beliefs or anything like that. And she also didn't want to hear about Ronald. That was a big favor for me. So, didn't talk about Ronald. Just pretty much basic life stuff. And so that was our agreement that we came up with the lunch at that lunch. And it was a pretty good conversation that I felt that we had and things. But at the same time, the same day, there was something going on with Ronald. Ronald, on my birthday, made this post on his Facebook. It was a shared post, and it said that it's something about being done with adulting and wanting to be adopted. So I was kind of like, what the hell? Yeah. And then he put on there, who's going to adopt me, kind of thing, right? And Ronald had a lot of women followers, and we had talked about that. He had said that, he would be in these friend groups, and these women just kind of followed him. He was a sweet young guy, so anyhow, so he said, who's going to adopt me? And I made a comment on there that said, I don't know about adoption, but what about taking me on? And he said, anytime, baby. And so that had happened, but then all of a sudden there was something very, very interesting and funny that happened with those comments. And I'm gonna share that on my next video. But let's talk about the learning lessons that I have here from those experiences and what happened here. Number one is I always do find out shit. I always find out stuff about people. I don't know what it is, but you know what? If you are connected with me and you're trying to pull some BS, for some reason, I find out. And that's a good learning lesson. And then another learning lesson is the switch up. Oh, yes. Not sending messages, backing off, having me feel like you're talking to someone else. Guess what? That's a sign. It's a sign either that I'm not ready, or it's a sign that there's something going on. And any kind of switch ups, ladies, let me tell you, if you feel the switch up, you need to get out of it and work on yourself a little more, to the minimum. Most likely, there's something going on. That's a learning lesson. Big fat learning lesson. And just being honest and open about things is that, I don't need people in my life that I can't be open and honest with and sharing my life journey and experiences and the things that I have learned along the way. I don't need to have those people in my life. And so that's just where I'm at with those learning lessons, that I should be free to be me. And so, everybody loves me. I told this woman today I get to hang out with all the beautiful women. I am at a place around a whole bunch of beautiful women. And black women are really, truly beautiful, but so am I. And I can learn a whole lot from beautiful women. And, if you want to talk about me, talk about what I've done, talk about what I've said, you go ahead. I will be rewarded. I'm always being rewarded, one way or another. Because your words and the things you say matter. And you know what? If you want to be a judgmental person, you get to live with that person. All that stuff going around in your mind, it's you. And so I want to ask again that you would like and share and subscribe to my channel. Like and share my video and subscribe to my channel. And I will have the descriptions in the link definitely this time. I had to go through a thing to be able to do that. So I will have the links in the description. You can follow me on Facebook at Alicia Broman Quinn. And there's a group called Our Greatness as well. And you can follow on that if you don't want to follow me particularly. And our next date that I will have a video for will be on February 23rd. There's a big event that happened on that day last year, and we are going to talk all about that. And it's a lot that happened around that. But anyhow, I'm going to go. You enjoy your day. You enjoy your life. And life is what you make it to be. So enjoy it. Love you all. Love, peace, and healing.